Is it the Democrats' return ticket to the White House? Hillary Clinton formally introduces Virginia Senator Tim Kaine as her running mate.
Do you want a trash-talking president or a bridge-building president?
Also tonight, why did a teenager go on a deadly rampage in Munich? We're there with the harrowing stories of survival. A dangerous heat dome smothers the United States, fueling wildfires in the West. And a growing trend in immigrant communities. Satellite babies born in the U.S. sent overseas away from their parents until they're ready for school.
How many children in this room are satellite babies?
This is the CBS Weekend News.
Good evening, I'm Rena Ninen. Hillary Clinton and her running mate, Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, made their first joint appearance today. It was a boisterous rally at Florida International University in Miami. Florida, of course, a key swing state, as is Kaine's home state of Virginia. Kaine was on President Obama's short list of possible running mates in 2008. Nancy Cordes has more from Miami.
The Clinton-Kaine ticket emerged to massive cheers in Miami, lavishing praise on one another.
I have to say that Senator Tim Kaine is everything Donald Trump and Mike Pence are not.
Kaine is one of 20 senators in history to also serve as a mayor and governor.
He is qualified to step into this job and lead on day one. And he is a progressive who likes to get things done. That's just my kind of guy, Tim.
The Virginia senator's mastery of Spanish was seen as one of his assets.
Y bienvenidos a todos.
He wove the language into his address today.
I'm feeling a lot of things today. Most of all, gratitude.
Clinton and Kaine described surprisingly similar life stories.
We both grew up in the Midwest. We were raised by fathers who ran small businesses.
I'm a Catholic, and Hillary is a Methodist, but I tell you, her creed is the same as mine. Do all the good you can.
The 58-year-old father of three is known in Congress for his sunny persona and has jokingly described himself as boring.
Make no mistake, behind that smile, Tim also has a backbone of steel. Just ask the NRA.
Kaine showed today he's more than happy to attack.
We've seen again and again that when Donald Trump says he has your back, you better watch out. From Atlantic City to his so-called university, he leaves a trail of broken promises and wrecked lives wherever he goes.
Trump blasted the pair on Twitter, arguing Bernie Sanders supporters are furious with the choice of Tim Kaine. The Clinton campaign pushed back, noting that Kaine has a 100% voting record with progressive groups like Planned Parenthood and the Brady campaign to end gun violence. Rena?
Nancy, thank you. Well, Scott Pelley will have the first joint interview with Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine. You can see that Sunday night on 60 Minutes. Sunday morning on Face the Nation, John Dickerson's interview with President Obama. That's ahead of the Democratic National Convention, which gavels to order Monday in Philadelphia. The podium is in place and final preparations are being made at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. That'll be our home base for convention coverage. Scott Pelley will have a special edition of the CBS Weekend News Sunday night from Philadelphia. Our primetime coverage begins Monday night, and our streaming service, CBSN, will have gavel-to-gavel coverage at cbsnews.com. In Munich, Germany, investigators are learning more about the gunman who killed at least 9 people on Friday before turning his gun on himself. 27 people were injured. The suspect is 18-year-old German-Iranian David Sonboli. Seth Doan is in Munich.
German authorities say the 18-year-old Munich shooter acted alone, had no links to terrorist groups, suffered from depression, and was obsessed with mass killings. A search at the shooter's family apartment today turned up reading material about mass murderers, including right-wing fanatic Anders Breivik, who killed 77 people in Norway exactly 5 years ago. Many of the 9 victims of Friday's shooting were teenagers. The first bullets hit the boy next to me, 29-year-old Hussein Bayri told us. I tried talking to him while the shooter continued his rampage, and I thought, I'm next. This video apparently shows Bayri trying to save the teenager's life. I tried to put my hands in his wound so he wouldn't bleed to death. Bayri heard the shooter yelling, "I'm German, you expletive foreigners."
Police say that the shooting that unfolded here was premeditated, that the gunman had hacked into someone's Facebook page and had made it appear as though there was a promotional offer trying to lure people to the scene.
The killer's body was found not far from the scene. He'd shot himself and had a backpack full of ammunition. Hussein Bayri says he's traumatized.
You weren't able to save him?
The boy said, "I can't go on any longer," and he drew his last breath. So yet again, sidewalks have been turned into somber memorials. And another major European city is left shaken. Seth Doan, CBS News, Munich, Germany.
Terrorist bombs exploded in Afghanistan Saturday. 2 suicide bombers blew themselves up during a demonstration in the city of Kabul. More than 80 are dead, hundreds more are wounded. It's the deadliest attack in the Afghan capital since 2001. ISIS claimed responsibility. In Louisiana, police officers from across the country attended the funeral for Sheriff's Deputy Brad Garafola. He was one of 3 law enforcement officers killed in an ambush last Sunday. The gunman was killed in a shootout. Deputy Garafola was 45 years old. Well, much of the nation is being smothered by what forecasters call a heat dome. From coast to coast, temperatures are well above 90, even above 100 in many places. In the West, dangerous heat killed a 12-year-old boy hiking in Phoenix. The heat is also fueling wildfires. Here's Carter Evans.
Flames broke out along a busy freeway north of Los Angeles at the height of the heat wave. This view from an LA County fire helicopter shows fire engines arriving on scene.
Look at that. That is some ingenuity right there. He's got one of the big nozzles just driving along, trying to put that fire out.
But temperatures up to 110 degrees and strong wind gusts made it impossible for firefighters to stop the massive wall of flames. Hundreds had to evacuate, including Curtis Bell.
And it was just like in the movies, where fire and smoke around. It absolutely looked like the apocalypse.
Firefighters tracked the flames from the air as they ripped through miles of drought-dried brush. LA Fire Captain Daniel Curry.
This is just an example of a dry plant, and you can just grab it and break it, and you can see there's just no moisture in this whatsoever.
That goes up like that.
Right.
As these flames continue to grow, firefighters are looking forward to cooler temperatures tomorrow here in the West. Now, Errol Barnett has more on the national heat wave from Washington.
Tourists in the heart of American democracy are feeling monumental heat.
Very hot, very hot. Looks like it's going to be record heat, and we was not hoping for that when we come up here, but, you know, these people selling the water, that's really been a help.
High summer temperatures are mixing with an extremely humid air mass moving eastward, in many places resulting in dangerous triple-digit heat indices. New York is keeping people cool with sprinklers.
He was 70-some years old.
And this Tennessee man's father died on Thursday. His home had no air conditioning.
We should check on our relatives and friends and families and neighbors with the heat. It's tough out here. It's hot.
Now, most people are just not used to this type of heat. Here in Washington, the temperatures have been in the upper 90s, but with 50% humidity, it feels like it's 105 degrees. Menacing conditions for the most vulnerable, infants and the elderly. Rena?
Errol Burnett in Washington, and our thanks to Carter Evans in Sylmar, California. Well, let's bring in Pamela Garner of our CBS Boston station, WBZ. Pamela, any relief from the heat wave in sight?
Rena, the hot temperatures continue. We have excessive heat warnings and heat advisories in effect from New York all the way to St. Louis, Chicago, and these in place through Sunday as a heat dome continues to build. High pressure and control across much of the country in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And notice that starts to flatten out as we get into Sunday. So what that means is the heat will progress even into New England and in southern Canada, but also tracking the intense humidity levels. Dew point temperatures in the low to mid 70s with a southwest, south airflow. And that means it's going to be downright oppressive with actual high temperatures in the 90s from New York to D.C., Columbia, 100 degrees, Oklahoma City also at 100, real field temps 105 to 125. Also keeping an eye on what's going on in the Pacific Ocean. We have Tropical Storm Darby that's going to continue to track to the west-northwest, affecting the Big Island and the rest of the islands of Hawaii going into Monday morning, 50-mile-per-hour winds and 10 to 15 inches of rain.
Pamela Gardner from our CBS Boston station, WBZ, thank you. Well, a Russian balloonist set what's believed to be a new record, flying around the world nonstop in 11 days. His 21,000-mile journey ended with a thud in the Australian outback. The pilot survived temperatures of -60 in Antarctica. His first order of business back on Earth, a hot shower. Coming up on the CBS Weekend News, they want affordable childcare. Now many immigrant families turning their children into satellite babies. We'll explain next. Well, it's a big campaign issue this year. Americans with low-paying jobs spend about a third of their income on childcare. In some immigrant communities, parents are making an even greater sacrifice for childcare, sending their babies overseas until they're ready to begin school here in the U.S. Jerika Duncan has more on the so-called satellite babies.
How many children in this room are satellite babies?
At this elementary school in Queens, more than 60% of its summer students are known as satellite babies. Their children born in the United States sent away to live in their parents' home country. For several years, they are raised by relatives, in most cases grandparents. They return to the U.S. when they are school age. It's a common cultural trend in many Chinese immigrant communities.
And then she said, "Here's my mother," and I was confused.
We met 8-year-old twins Matthew and Rachel Kai and 9-year-old Jenny Zhao. They were sent to China as babies and came back when they were around 4 years old.
Do you understand why your parents sent you to China and then brought you back? You don't understand?
I understand because, my mom had to work.
Many parents of satellite babies send their children overseas in part to preserve their culture. But experts say the overwhelming force behind this exodus is the lack of affordable childcare.
No parent wants to give up their child, but it's a lot of sacrifices that immigrants have to make, to have a better life here.
Lois Lee is the director of the Chinese American Planning Council. It's a nonprofit which runs childcare programs that help satellite babies adjust to life in America.
It was difficult for the child because they haven't seen their parents.
Lee mentored Vicky Pan, now 16 years old.
I remember the first night when I went to my house in America with my parents, I realized that my grandparents are never gonna be here. I'm in a new place now, and I was crying and stuff. Even now, it's like that.
Are you upset because of the way they brought you back?
I feel like they know that if they told me straight up that I was going to my parents, I wouldn't have went because I don't know who they are.
24-year-old David Chen says his transition was so traumatic, he began having suicidal thoughts in the 3rd grade.
You're so closed off, you start thinking very depressed thoughts and very dark thoughts. And being bullied and you're suffering and, your parents don't understand that.
Now a medical student, Chen wants to share his story with other satellite babies so they understand they're not alone.
On the ride to our house, I realized that I didn't know where I was going. They were complete strangers, and I felt really, really scared.
Lee says experiences like Chen's are common and contribute to some behavioral problems.
There are a lot of angry people in America, and you don't want to add to the anger. You really want to, to lessen it.
One of those ways you're doing that is identifying these satellite babies.
Right. And why go through separation anxiety? So we really got to keep these families intact.
Stay, Grace, stay.
Jerika Duncan, CBS News, New York.
Still ahead, a disease steals their ability to speak, but there's a new way to preserve their voice. About 6,000 people a year are diagnosed with ALS, a disorder that affects the nerves and muscles. It's also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. There is no cure. As the disease progresses, patients lose their ability to speak. But as Dr. John Lepuk reports, they don't have to lose their voice.
ALS has gradually robbed 68-year-old Michael Hubner of arm and leg strength, but she's determined to preserve her voice.
I've got my marching orders. I think that my collection of phrases finds the center between the words and phrases I love and the things I know I'm going to need to say.
I need my eyebrows tweezed.
Before her speech becomes severely impaired, Hubner's come to Boston Children's Hospital to meet speech pathologist John Costello.
I love you guys. Those are my two guys.
He gives ALS patients a voice recorder and tells them to think of phrases that reflect who they are.
Recording messages in your own voice is a huge way to not lose that self, to not give yourself up fully to the disease, when at every turn the disease is taking.
Can you understand me okay?
ALS has also taken a lot from 42-year-old Todd Quinn. Until 4 years ago, he was a home builder, an avid outdoorsman, and a nature photographer. He was one of the first ALS patients to bank his voice.
Hey, Sawyer, how are you?
Enabling him to talk to his wife, Kat, and his son, Sawyer.
Hey, Sawyer, how are you?
And that's Todd 4 years ago.
Did you have a good day?
Did you have a good day?
A computer recognizes which words he is looking at on the screen, allowing him to pick the phrases he wants.
Did you have a good day?
Yes, I did, so far.
Good night, babe.
Oh. So when you hear "Good night, babe,"
Yep,
what do you think?
It just always brings me back to when we first got diagnosed, when we had that voice. Can't say that I don't miss that. So I do miss it, but I feel more than anything appreciative for that we have it.
All this talking is making me thirsty.
Okay. Would you like me to get you a drink?
Todd wishes he had saved more messages. That makes the messages he has all the more precious. Dr. John Lepuk, CBS News, Blairstown, New Jersey.
Well, up next, a musical that raises the curtain on anxiety and depression. More than half of all Americans will suffer from some form of mental illness at some point in their lives. A woman from New York City named Rachel Griffin is among them. She's actually written a musical to inspire others to turn their pain into power. Marley Hall has her story.
Rachel Griffin can turn just about any emotion into a song.
I lost Barbara and the children. God, I miss them and who I used to be.
That's really sad. I know, isn't it sad?
The New York City music teacher suffers from anxiety and depression. Now it's her mission to fight the stigma of mental illness.
It's okay to not be okay. Inside.
She was diagnosed 10 years ago after she flunked out of school.
I felt like I was defective. I felt like there was normal and then there was me.
One of the most common.
Psychologist Joseph Salona says mental illness is often viewed as a character flaw instead of an imbalance of chemicals in the brain.
Stereotypes have persisted and really seem to be pervasive in our society despite the scientific knowledge that we now have.
That's why Griffin poured her shame and frustration into writing and producing a musical with scenes inspired by her own life.
Welcome to your new life. Welcome to the sidewalk.
We Have Apples is a comedy set in a psychiatric ward. The lead character, Jane, is a young writer who checks herself in, and in an unsupporting role, a character called Depression. Along with the musical, Griffin started a social media movement. Hashtag I'm Not Ashamed has been shared nearly 100,000 times and inspired others to shed their shame.
Not being ashamed is one thing, but writing about your life and putting it on a stage, that's a whole different level. Why do that?
I'm willing to be vulnerable if I can help that one person who's in pain thinking this is never going to get better.
For Rachel Griffin, it got a lot better. She's newly married, recently earned a master's degree, and her musical debuts in New York City this September.
If you had told me when I was really struggling that my life would look like it does today, I would not have believed it. So, we're here to say Happy Admission Day.
Marley Hall, CBS News, New York.
And that's the CBS Weekend News for this Saturday. Later on CBS, 48 Hours. And a reminder, our coverage of the Democratic National Convention begins tomorrow. Scott Pelley will have a special edition of the Weekend News. That's from Philadelphia. Our primetime coverage begins Monday. And of course, our digital network, CBSN at cbsnews.com, will provide gavel-to-gavel convention coverage. I'm Rena Ninen in New York. Thank you for joining us. Good night.